What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horror, this is Ethan Horror, and today we are back with a brand new video. Today, we are going to be ranking all of the Terrifier movies. Now, there isn't very many, but there's still enough to have a ranking done on them. I figured you guys, I feel like Terrifier is probably the most popular franchise that's currently still making movies consistently. I know Saw is still making movies pretty consistently, but they still have, like, big gaps in between there. But Terrifier, I'd say, is probably the most popular right now. So I figured may as well do a ranking on it. You know, most popular one, and I just did a kill ranking. That was my last video. I did a tier list on all of the Terrifier kills. So I'm going to be briefly mentioning some kills in this ranking. But if you want to see my full thoughts on all of the kills in the Terrifier franchise, go check out that video. But, do we really need much of an intro? Let's just get to ranking, alright? Coming in at number 4, my least favorite Terrifier movie, and it's not even close, is the original Terrifier. Now, if you were to ask a person, how many franchises would you say the original is the worst movie in the franchise? They probably wouldn't be able to name a single one, but my God, I despise the original Terrifier. And by spoiler warning, I don't really like any of the Terrifier movies, but we're going to talk about them. So let's get into it. The original Terrifier, it has been said it was created kind of just to be a proof of concept, just to show what they can do with their franchise. But it's still a bad. I know that it's a proof of concept, but it doesn't make it a good movie. This is the biggest example of kills over everything else, because this movie is kills. It's good kills. It got some good kills. Dawn's death, one of the best deaths in the series. But they sacrifice plot, character, honestly, everything else. It's created just to show off some gnarly kills, which, in that regard, it's perfect, because it did show off some gnarly kills. But there's no story. There's no character. I mean, there is characters, but they don't have any freaking personality. But there is one thing I will give the original Terrifier, is that they nailed the length, the runtime. It's not super long. It's an hour and a half. That's how long these movies should be. But unfortunately, a lot of the other ones are not. But yeah, last place, definitely the original Terrifier, no question about it. Coming in at number 3, I have All Hallows Eve. Yes, you were probably wondering why I said Terrifier was number 4 when there's only 3 movies. All Hallows Eve is the first appearance of art. Well, technically the first film appearance of art, because there is 2 short films that came out before this, one called The Ninth Circle and one called Terrifier. But those 2 short films were implemented into this movie as segments in this anthology horror movie. So in this, there's 3 segments plus a wraparound. So basically the wraparound is that they went trick-or-treating and someone gave them a videotape. And the first videotape is Ninth Circle. That's the one which is technically the first ever appearance of art. It came out back in like 2008, I think. And it is technically the first appearance of art. And I do not think that tape was all that good. I mean, it's certainly creepy at some points, but not very good. Then the second tape is absolutely awful. It's nothing to do with art, first of all, which the rest of them do. The rest of them have something to do with art. The second one is just some random, like, chase scene with an alien robot thing. I didn't really care for it at all. It's the most basic, prototypical horror movie you could ever watch in your life. And it has this, like, crappy-looking alien robot thing in the end. So I don't care for that segment at all. And the third segment is basically it's the Terrifier short from 2011. So you get some gory kills, you get Art the Clown, you get a couple chase sequences. It's fine. Then you get the wraparound, which is by far my favorite segment of the four. Um, and it is again, so they find the tape. She's babysitting two kids. They go out trick-or-treating. The kids come back with the tape. She was watching the tape, and that is the first three segments. But then, as she's watching it, there's actually this really cool scene where she sees her on the TV, and Art is standing behind her. But when she turns around, Art isn't there. She looks back at the TV, Art's there again, she turns around, Art isn't there. And then there's this huge big scene until she eventually gets the TV off, and she thinks it's over. But then she goes around, and I think this is actually a very, very creepy moment, very creepy shot of Art standing at the top of the stairs, right outside the kid's bedroom after she had heard the kids screaming. And so, yes, he did kill the two kids, spoiler alert. And so you get to see the two kids' heads, which I would have probably, I mean, I guess it's fine, but I could have gone without seeing the kids' dead bodies, but I think that final part is so creepy that it just gives it a little bit of a bump above the original Terrifier for me. That gives it third place. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Terrifier 2. I do not love Terrifier 2. There is only one movie in this franchise that I will say that I like, and it is not Terrifier 2. It's the one I have at number 1, which I'm sure you guys already know what it is, but using process of elimination. But Terrifier 2, it ups the gore. It still lacks in story, but they do add in some actual characters that you care for, and they actually add some personality to them. So you got Sienna, you got Jonathan, and even the mom. Even the mom, even though she's kind of a bad mom, I think she's central to the story, and then you get some of her friends, but those are just the lifeless characters that we don't care about. It has some cool sequences, it has some cool scenes, it has some great kills. You have Allie's death, which is one of my favorites of the series. That is just so horrific. And then you get the moment when Allie's mom walks in and has to see what Art has done, and that I think is one of the most horrific moments of the entire franchise. And then of course she gets killed afterwards as well. But there is one huge complaint that I haven't talked about yet, and that is that this movie is too long. I know some people like the runtime, but 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2.5 hours for Terrifier. This movie, I would have been fine if Terrifier 3, which obviously is my number 1, which we'll talk about in a second, if that movie was 2.5 hours long, because that movie is good. This movie is simply some better characters going through essentially the same thing, but it's more gory, it's more messed up, and the kill sequences are longer. I think Terrifier 2 has some seriously good moments in it. I don't think I'll ever really love any of the Terrifier movies, but I think this movie has some good moments in it, and this movie could have been very good if they had cut a half hour out of the movie, even if they knocked it down to a 2-hour movie. I think it would have been far and away better. But as I said, there is some positives. You got the characters. I love Sienna. Love Jonathan. There's some story here. They're beginning the kind of the lore of Art the Clown, but they don't really expand on it very much in this first film, or in this first actual Terrifier film, because the original is just there. But they kind of expand on the lore a little bit, so it's not all bad. I do enjoy Terrifier 2, but it's overall, I say I wouldn't like it. Coming in at number 1, I know I said it, I know you can use process of elimination, I know there's only one left, and that is Terrifier 3. My number 1 Terrifier movie. The only one that I'd say I actually like, but I still don't love it. It's still like a 3-star movie for me. But the acting's good. It's got some great kills that I think even managed to improve on Terrifier 2's kills. The characters are great again. But guess what this one has that the other two didn't? A plot. A story. This movie, I think, has the most overarching story of any of these, because you get Sienna, who is trying to recover from the trauma of the last movie, which is all dealt with very well in this movie. I was very shocked by how well they dealt with it. They show like how she's affected by it, how she's seeing things, how she's going to mental hospitals, how she's staying with her aunt and uncle, and you get to see all of the stuff and how the trauma, how she's dealing with it. And then you have this nice little theme about true crime and how people are not how do I explain it? How people are not thoughtful when talking to victims of stuff, especially when you're like trying to interview them for podcasts, which unfortunately that scene where that girl asked her to be on the podcast, that's not that unrealistic. Like, I could see that happening nowadays because of the craze of podcasts and true crime and stuff. And I thought that that was a very good scene, and I like that Sienna reacts, rightfully so, pissed off. So I think Lauren Lavera puts in an absolutely fantastic performance in this one. She did in part two, but I think she's definitely a lot better in this one. And there's actually some scenes that I enjoy in this movie. I know, crazy, a Terrifier movie with scenes that I enjoy? I didn't think that they could do that, but they do it in this movie. I think that the Santa Claus scene is very good, where Clint Howard shows up. I actually really love the Clint Howard cameo and the Tom Savini cameo. There's a Tom Savini cameo in this as well. I thought that was a very good scene. I thought it was funny. I thought it showed off how like just bad of a person Art the Clown is, how you can never really know what is coming next with him. Then you have the scene at the mall with the bomb. Didn't expect that, but that's what happened. Yeah, and there were some genuinely funny moments. Art the Clown being Art the Clown actually got some solid laughs out of me this time around, where he didn't in the first one, where he's barely even a character in the first one. And the second one, you definitely get to see a little bit more of his charm, but it's not as good in the second one. I think he is working very well. I think David Howard Thornton has really found the character by this point, so it just comes natural to him. And as I said, great kills, great characters. I was overall impressed with Terrifier 3. Still isn't a movie that I absolutely love. There were some parts here and there that definitely bugged me, especially the ending where they unceremoniously kill off Jonathan, or maybe he's still alive, we don't know. I'm sure we'll see in Terrifier 4, but yeah, that scene it didn't sit right with me, that you have this character that was so central to the plot and to the story, and he's just gone off screen. I thought that was weird, but otherwise, there were some great kills, some great moments, and this Terrifier movie genuinely impressed me, because I didn't think that there was anything Terrifier could do to make me like their movies, but they actually made a good movie. And yes, I do like Terrifier 3. So, there we go. And that's going to be it for today's video. Remember, if you did enjoy, make sure to hit like and subscribe so I know you want to see more videos like it. Otherwise, you can go down below and hit the bell notification to be notified when I post any brand new videos. And if you want to see new videos from me, you can go check some out on my channel. Go look at the playlist. Otherwise, you can click the video on screen or go to my channel and find something else in there that you'll enjoy. Otherwise, you can kind of comment down below your own ranking of these films, and I'll reply to as many as possible. And comment down below some more video ideas for me. And until next time, I'm Ethan Horror. This has been Ethan Horror. See ya.